Joe Biden.
Vote.
Joe Biden.
Clock, and asleep between 9 and 12, or he doesn't show up.
This isn't to you, Jared. This is to the kids.
That's right.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Well, yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas as well. Merry Christmas, and let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree. Hey, by the way, are you in Oregon? Come on, man. Do this, we will do this. Well, God bless you all. Help us on the way, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. We should be in a position where you are. Why can't the experts say we've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin? The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. Go get vaccinated, America. Go and get the vaccination. You got to welcome it. Not in my house, Jack. Not in my house. Not a joke. Panicked, or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far more people. Far more people.
And,
you would have been.
And by the way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci.
Johnson, Pfizer?
I'm going to intervene with questions with your permission. Isn't this a pretty place? Yep. Now we look at 2022. I want to tell my Republican friends, get ready, pal. You're going in for a problem. And we need to stay unified. How many times you see people pulling up to McDonald's sitting outside during the pandemic so they could do their homework because they can get off of their line.
More time on my hands and knees, picking through rugs, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine. I probably smoked more Parmesan cheese than anyone.
Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
Hey guys, I'm in New York City just hanging out.
If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. If we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. Folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure you're fully vaccinated and you're outdoors. You need, and not in a big crowd, you no longer need to wear a mask. I want to be absolutely clear. If you're in a crowd, like a stadium or at a conference or a concert, you still need to wear a mask. The Second Amendment says that we can limit who can own a weapon. They can limit what kind of gun you can own.
Really? Where does it say that? Because to me it looks like it plainly says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If you were following me before my ban, hit that plus sign.
When we were debating it, I said if a woman in this audience got up, stripped down, stark naked, and walked over to the United States Capitol, she has a right to be arrested for indecent exposure. But no man, even in that circumstance, has a right to touch her. No man has a right to touch her. Period. 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 For America to get back up on its feet and once again fight for the proposition that we hold these truths to be self-evident. Sounds corny. Not a joke. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you
Come on, man. College, providing professional education, don't pay a cent. Not a single little red cent. Let's go through Los Angeles and what am I doing here?
Is it Long Beach?
Long Beach, thank you.
You had told us at a town hall, I think it was in July, that this was just near-term inflation. The Wall Street Journal recently talked.
And the child who didn't. A gigantic disadvantage.
Mr. President, the question was on on community college.
No, you know, look, I was a senator for 370 years. So when a drug deal was going down, she'd pick up the phone and call and say to that police officer with a cell phone that the drug deal's going down, knowing that she would never be fingered, knowing that she would never be the one told it happened. And so crime began to drop. They had to know who the local liquor store. They had to know and walk in and shake hands with the local minister. They had to know. No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide. I'll do everything in my power as the President of the United States to encourage people to do the right thing, and when they do it, demonstrate that it matters. Don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to use. Answer the first question? I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is, I believe he has in the past essentially acknowledged that he was, there are certain things that he would do or did do. Look, I view wearing this mask not so much protecting me, but as a patriotic responsibility. All the tough guys say, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not afraid. Go get vaccinated, America. Go and get the vaccination. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids. Enforced by law, by badge, by hood, and by noose. That speaks to that lit the fuse. It lit it by the spark to the. By the way, parenthetically, when you build a charging station, it's like back in the day when my grandpa worked for the American Oil Company back in the turn of in the 1920 in that area. They went from state to state convincing people that they allow them to put 20,000 gallons of gasoline under the ground. They didn't want them around. But guess what happened? Everything builds up around them. You put these charging stations along there, how are you going to see a significant economic development go well beyond the charging station? I guarantee you, give you my word as a Biden, no one making less than $400,000 a year will see a penny in their taxes raised. No one. But I tell you what, it's about time the wealthiest people in America, the billionaires and trillionaires, the multi-billionaires, and the biggest corporations start paying their fair share. 91 major corporations out of the Fortune 500 didn't pay a penny in tax last year. That's tens of billions of dollars. They're going to pay their fair share. Why should a firefighter, an educator, a nurse, a cop pay at a higher tax rate, which you do, than a major multi-billion-dollar corporation? Why should you pay more taxes than Donald Trump, who paid $750? You want to know everything I don't like about Trump? Let me tell you, captured in one answer he gave. He was asked last time out about paying so little tax and allegedly being a billionaire. Know what he said? He said, it's because I'm smarter. I know how to game the system. Well, they ain't going to be gaming the system anymore in the Biden administration. They're going to start paying. That's why I'm asking people to continue to follow the CDC guidelines. The PPP needed to open our schools and businesses. The JOPCA, so that we're, LGBTQ people can shoot just as straight as anybody else. The N1H15, multimillionaire, pay just a fair share. It's not going to affect their standard of living at all. Not a little tiny bit. Well, I can affect the standard of living that people I grew up with. If they have a job, American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves. We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force with some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped, a force larger in size than the militaries of many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their Air Force, something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an Air Force. We provided close air support. We gave them every chance to determine their own future. We could not provide them was the will to fight for that future. In fact, that's a bunch of malarkey. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Time for America to get back up on its feet and once again fight for the proposition that we hold these truths to be self-evident. Sounds corny. Not a joke. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. I guarantee you, give you my word as a Biden, no one making less than $400,000 a year will see a penny in their taxes raised. No one. But I tell you what, it's about time the wealthiest people in America, the billionaires and trillionaires, the multi-billionaires, and the biggest corporations start paying their fair share. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. Everybody is entitled to be treated with decency and dignity. That's been missing in a big way the last 4 years.
A year to get the American troops out. Do you hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months.
Ladies and gentlemen, I only have one regret. He's not here, because we should be introducing him as president. My responsibility as president will be to represent the whole nation. And I want you to know that I'll work as hard for those who voted against me as those who voted for me. That's the job. That's the job. It's called the duty of care for all Americans. We have serious problems to deal with, from COVID to the economy to racial justice to climate change. We don't have any more time to waste on partisan warfare. You know, and more than that, we have such an incredible opportunity to build the future we want for our kids and our grandkids. I've said many, many times, I've never been more optimistic about the future of this nation.
For America to get back up on its feet and once again fight for the proposition that we hold these truths to be self-evident. Sounds corny, not a joke. Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.